so close we can almost taste it. The Cubs open the season against the Dodgers in less than 24 hours in Tokyo. Here's everything you should be ready for. Hey, welcome in, Cubs fans. And if you are not ready for the season, guess what? Too bad. It's coming. In less than right around 16 hours as I film this, it's 11 a.m. California time. I'm waking up at 2:30 a.m. California time to do a watch along with you. We'll talk about that more here in a second. But it's the 2025 season. It's a huge season for the Cubs. It's Jed's last year in his contract. He's trying to earn that next contract. The Cubs have brought in some major pieces and players to make sure that they make the playoffs, which I'm sure is very dependent on Jed getting an extension. So it's a big day tomorrow, March 18th. The Cubs season starts in Tokyo. I'm not a huge fan of it starting there and then coming back and doing spring training and then doing the stateside thing. That's to be talked about at another time, but I am excited for this season overall, and I want to get ready with you guys. We want to talk about a few things today. Number one is where can you find this game? How can you engage with us? Then we're also going to talk about the 40-man roster, maybe what the taxi squad might be looking like. And then, of course, we're going to do some predictions of what this whole lineup and pitching situation might look like. So first of all, when we talk about where you can watch this, first of all, make sure that you've got two screens going. Number one, you're going to have the TV up on Fox or FS1, Marquee, wherever you'd like to be able to find your game. And then number two is you're going to have, maybe it's your tablet, maybe it's your phone, and you're going to be watching along with us on YouTube. That's right. We're going to do a watch along, me and my Setup Man crew member, Sean Hendrickson. We will be bringing this entire 9 innings. If it goes even longer, we'll be going longer with you guys. We'll do that on both Tuesday and Wednesday, so both of the opening games in Tokyo. We're going to be having some fun. It's too early to have a beer, at least for me it is, but going to have a lot of caffeine, going to have a lot of adrenaline going, and hopefully we will be celebrating a W on both ends of those games. Along with that, we'll be doing maybe some trivia, gamifying it a little bit for you, and we might even invite some of you up on stage to talk about what you are watching and what you're thinking about with these opening games. So we want to get some fan involvement. Make sure that you go to our YouTube channel. Right there in the homepage, you'll see that it's right there, and you can go ahead and set your notifications, and we will see you on opening day. And yes, once again, FS1 or Fox being nationally televised. Also, fun note, MLB.TV still will allow you to watch the game based on the research that I've done. Usually on national games, they get blacked out. But for this one, it sounds like they are opening it up since it's in Tokyo. Can't wait for the day that blackouts just aren't a thing in Major League Baseball. All right, let's transition over to the 40-man roster. And here's what I want to talk about. First of all, I was waiting to do this episode. Again, it's 11 o'clock California time. I usually like to record these around 7, 8 a.m. in the morning just to get some news out there for you. But I was waiting to see if we could at least get some mention of the 40-man roster, the taxi squad. Nothing has come through yet. And for that reason, I am just going to go ahead and make some guesses then. So our 40-man roster currently stands, and there's going to need to be at least one move made if you're assuming that Matt Shaw is indeed playing, which I think we can all assume at this point. So looking at the 40-man roster right now, I've got it up on my screen. I believe there's going to be two moves made. I believe there's going to be one for Matt Shaw, and then I'm going to bank on Brad Keller. I think Brad Keller is going to make the 26-man and is going to need to be added to the 40-man. That's kind of my wild card. Now, he could end up being on the taxi squad, but we'll talk about the taxi squad here in a little bit. So with that being said, there was a release given to Keegan Thompson last week. At least there was a piece of news about that happening this last week. So Keegan Thompson apparently has been DFA'd by the Cubs. It has not been official yet, so I expect that to become official. And then my next one is probably going to be if the theory here is Cubs went and got Lance Lynn because I believe the Javier Assad injury is worse than we think it is, or it has not healed at the pace that it was expected to. So either Javier Assad is being moved to the 60-day IL, or I think just as Keegan Thompson is being DFA'd, I think you'll either see Gavin Hallowell or Ethan Roberts go down the same path. I I've said it before. I just don't think that the path for them to have major league innings is going to be on the Cubs. I think it's on a different team. My guess would be Hallowell over Roberts, but we'll see. And again, if Hassad is moved to the 60-day IL, then you don't have to even worry about that. So that's it for the 40-man roster. Let me know what you think is going to happen, or do you think only one move is going to be made? Maybe Keller ends up being on the taxi squad. My pick for the taxi squad, based on what we're seeing from those two practice games, the exhibition games that the Cubs played, you saw in that second game, I believe what is going to be the taxi squad. I believe that Jameson Taillon, Daniel Palencia, Matthew Boyd, those three pitchers were given time because they need to still get their reps in, but will be put on the taxi squad. I believe Reese McGuire will also be on the taxi squad, the third catcher. That just is kind of, to me, a no-brainer. And then there's that one extra spot left. And you could say it could be Brad Keller. You could say it might be Tyson Miller since he hasn't been pitching very well. You could say it's Jordan Wicks because we don't really see him coming in a high leverage or in a bullpen situation, more of a swing man. You don't really need a swing man right now because you have so many pitchers. I personally think on the taxi squad, you're going to be seeing... I think there's more of a reason to keep Jordan Wicks on the roster, the 26-man roster, than there is Tyson Miller right now. Miller has proved that he is not game ready yet. He hasn't had one solid outing. Don't quote me on that. I believe most of his outings have resulted in giving up runs here in spring training, including the exhibition games. So for that reason, I've got Tyson Miller, which, yes, by the way, the other day he pitched one inning and gave up an earned run on 2 strikeouts, 2 hits. So I believe Tyson Miller ends up being the guy on the taxi squad. I think it's a long shot. I think the more realistic one is probably Brad Keller, and if not Brad Keller, then Jordan Wicks. But I don't even want to call it a hot take because it's really not a hot take, but what do they call it? A lukewarm take would be Tyson Miller being on the taxi squad. So once again, let me know what you think. I'm guessing those first 4, Palencia, Boyd, Taillon, and McGuire, are on your list too, but who do you think is going to be the 5th guy? Let me know in the comments. Now let's talk about the predicted lineup and the predicted pitching. We're going to see 2 right-handers against the Cubs making their season debuts, Yoshinobu Yamamoto and then Roki Sasaki. That's going to be an interesting one to watch, the Roki Sasaki game. I'll be completely honest, I haven't watched any of his spring training stuff, but I've heard it's been electric. So interested to see that with you guys firsthand. We have seen 2 different lineups in the last 2 games, I should say, from the Cubs and Craig Counsell. And I think that you're seeing the righty/lefty lineup, but I do think that there's going to be something change here. So let's go over that really quickly. On the first game against the Tigers, the Cubs put out their quote-unquote right-handed heavy lineup. You had Happ, Suzuki, Tucker. Remember that, Suzuki batting second, Tucker batting third. Justin Turner, Matt Shaw, Dansby Swanson, Pete Crow-Armstrong, Miguel Amaya, and Jon Berti. Then the next game against the Giants, you had Happ, Tucker, Suzuki. So that's reversed. Michael Busch instead of Justin Turner. Matt Shaw still batting third. Dansby Swanson still batting sixth. Matt Shaw still batting fifth. Dansby Swanson still batting sixth. Pete Crow-Armstrong still at 7. Now Carson Kelly comes in as the catcher. That, to me, is not a righty-lefty thing because they both bat right-handed. More of just a who's going to pitch and who's going to catch that day. And then Gage Workman, the lefty second baseman. How about that? So what I think is you're going to see, yes, Tucker batting second. So the lineup against a righty, I think, is going to be pretty much identical what you're seeing. Happ, Tucker, Suzuki, Busch, Shaw, Swanson, Crow-Armstrong, and then Miguel Amaya one day, Carson Kelly the next. I believe, though, that Gage Workman will get one start and Jon Berti will get the other start at second base. I didn't think that Gage Workman would get a start at second base, if we're being completely honest. But now that you see him get a game in at second base, I think Craig Counsell's thinking, yeah, I want to get him in a bat. I want to get that lefty power bat in the lineup. He did have a big hit against the Giants the other day that put the Cubs on the board. I think it was their first run, brought in Crow Armstrong from third base, but he also did have 3 strikeouts. So again, you're looking at a high strikeout probability type of guy as well. So that 9th spot feels right for him. And it's interesting, right? Craig Counsell right now has these interchangeable guys really at second base and catcher right now. And it seems to be that no matter who is in that lineup, whether it's Workman, Birdie, Amaya, or Kelly, and also Bush and Turner at first base, it seems like he's just kind of saying, whatever position you play, that's where you are in the lineup. He's not kind of changing it around with these 2 different lineups of like, okay, well, maybe Justin Turner is more of a 8th hole batter. No, he just slotted him in right there at cleanup. So this might be more of a Tokyo thing. I don't know if we're going to see this during the regular season, but it is interesting to see the both simplicity, yet also almost too simple of an approach, if you ask me. It's almost like, I'm not complaining. It's just like in a day and age where lineups are so overthought, Craig Counsell is just keeping this extremely simple. So I don't know if I like it or dislike it, but I'd like to know what you think. Do you think that it will be against 2 right-handed pitchers, the same lineup that we saw against the Giants where the Cubs came out on top 4-2? Or do you think that Workman is going to be replaced for Birdie? Do you think that it'll actually be Turner instead of Bush? I want to know what you think in the comments. And we're going to end with one last thing if you have not seen it already. I was geeking out over this new replay technology that is going on in the Tokyo Dome right now. Here's a replay right now of the Dansby Swanson. Great play against the Giants, from the other day. I'm digging it. I'm really digging, but here's the thing. I dig it maybe like once a game. If this is something that's going to be regular, which I did the research, it looks like this is something they are only testing in Tokyo right now, so I would not expect to see this during the regular season. It just seems like they're really trying this out, ramping it up, getting people excited about it since so many are going to be watching. I don't expect to see this on marquee in the middle of a April game against the Padres, if you know what I mean. So if this does become a regular thing, though, I'm in the camp of it's cool, but don't show me this instead of a regular replay. Show me this on top of a regular replay. Let's see the actual thing in real life. And then maybe once a game when there's a really cool play like this, then you can show this to me. Now, they also had the behind home plate gamified replay, and that I really like. That was really cool to me because now we can see from a batter, what did that look like? And that's a whole different, you can do the umpire cam, but that's really tough to tell because the umpire's moving their head around and you see the pitch and it looks really wonky. The game, the like virtual reality kind of look that they had for this, I like that. I wouldn't mind seeing that multiple times per game. That gives you a different look, how realistic it is. I think it looks pretty realistic from what we're seeing. But if there's a way to make that really realistic and make it even finer than it already is, I think I'd be just fine watching that just about every game, just about, honestly, every close pitch, if you don't mind, because that shows you just how tough as well it is for the hitters, the umpires. I think it gives a really good perspective for the fans. What do you think? I asked you guys to comment a lot on this one. I do genuinely always want to know what you guys want to think. So keep on letting me know what you think. Comment down below. Can't wait for this season to start with you guys. We will see you on the watch along tomorrow morning, 3 a.m. my time. Yes, that's right. 5 a.m. Central. Go Cubs, go. I'm going to go put my arm on ice.